Happy New Year, Cheryl. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year. How are you? Oh, am I not, you can't hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Rich is downstairs helping somebody. So, hi, Susan.
Happy New Year.
Hi, Shannon. Oh, here's my, I'm finishing up my piece from, oh, do you need to share screen? I'm gonna just get that taken care of.
Yes, please.
Okay. This is my piece for the next exhibit. I took a Steve Arment class, and the exhibit is called Who's Your Buddy? And this is based on a stuffed animal that I had named Marvin. And I know you're wondering, am I replicating Marvin to the T? And I will show you.
Wow, Jeff Costello.
Hey, Jeff. Great to see you.
Wow. Whoa.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
Holy cow, that's great.
Nicely done, Cheryl.
Great. It's not my brown bag, but I just wanted to show that off.
Awesome.
Hey, hold that up again, Cheryl. I want to see that.
Well, I'm not finished. I'm still doing the sweater, as you can see. You know, I'm knitting that sweater as we speak.
Good on you, man. That's great.
And this is the stuffed animal. So I took this class with Steve Arment, and it was wood carving pre-COVID. Wow, it could have been almost a year ago. Anyway, people had different projects, and I said, well, I want to do one of this stuffed animal. He was like one of my favorites, and I thought it was a beaver, but we now think it's a woodchuck. We made him a beaver, this one a beaver.
Well, it's come a long way since when you showed it to me before the holidays, so you went to town on it the last few weeks. That's beautiful.
You know.
It's a beaver. Shouldn't that stuff be orange?
Well, I
know.
I'm replicating, so there was no choice on the colors, but I appreciate that input.
Cheryl, I think you should do show and tell to start off every brown bag.
We could do that. That would be kind of fun. It would add a little art to it.
Yeah.
But I feel bad because I'm promoting my own work, but we could always find somebody else's work to promote.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Oh, Rich, you're muted.
Cheryl, or anybody's, does anybody remember Soupy Sales?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Soupy Sales and Black Fang and White Fang. Or remember, he had a TV program. We used to run to the dorm to watch a TV program, and Black Fang and White Fang would fight each other. He had these two hand puppets. And he said outrageous things, as I recall. Are you going to say outrageous things today, Mike Midlo?
From the match game.
I'll try to keep things from being incendiary. I'll just try to stay the course.
Stay the course, huh?
No.
Well, I don't know. We are Cheryl, we've got to do something. Our brown bag attendance has dropped off a little bit, you know? I think people are getting Zoom fatigued a little bit. Do you?
I hope not, because I'm going to be talking about Zoom for the next half hour.
No, I mean, we use it so frequently that sometimes it might.
Well,
anyway.
I'm looking at this group and I think we'll be a fine group of ambassadors for Winter Fishtrap, Mike and Shannon. So
Yeah,
even if the numbers aren't here right now, we'll do our part.
we'll do our part. There you
Well, and what a great topic for
I know. No kidding,
all
Susan. I
this,
agree.
COVID fatigue. It's like,
Yeah.
I could use a little bounce right now.
Amen.
Yeah, it might not be Zoom fatigue, Mike, as much as overall fatigue. And did anybody see? No, what was it? Anyway, well, no,
It
it
happens
was
to me,
final.
Rich.
No,
Happens to the best of us.
Do you know? Some of you know Tony Robinson, Linda Robinson. They live up at the lake in the summers, and he's a retired Presbyterian preacher, written quite a few books, and she did the civil rights tour and did a brown bag on it for us. Anyway, Tony does a blog and semi-religious themes, and he's a very liberal Protestant theologian and Protestant who, spent his time sending money and going and knocking on doors for Democrats across the country. And he wrote a thing today and he just said, it's time to rest. It's time to rest.
I agree with that.
Okay, well, but we're not going to rest right now because Mike Midlo is going to tell us about Winter Fishtrap and how this came about and what we're going to do with it. And we all
Great,
know
thanks,
Mike.
Rich.
So go ahead, Mike.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Josephy Center, and for a brown bag. This is always fun to see your faces. And I won't. Since most of you are pretty familiar with Fishtrap and the history, I won't go into too much detail. But I do think it's significant to talk about how we pick themes, how Fishtrap picks themes. People tell me that Fishtrap might be a little bit unique because of the thematic. Every year that there's a theme that we try to focus in on and talk about, whether it's the good writing or clear thinking part of the mission. It's really interesting to frame things that way. And I know for Summer Fishtrap, the faculty, the instructors really kind of dig in and like to explore things in that way and to dig deeper into topics. So just a quick thing. Some of you have served on the Fishtrap program committee. Some of you are. And so it's really important to us. For me, I like coming up with ideas, as we all do. But as you know, when you sit at a table with other people, ideas come that you would have never thought of before. And so for me, I put together a program committee full of some board members and several community members to talk about ideas, people of different ages, orientations. It's fun to see what comes of those conversations. And this year, when we had our program committee meetings about what are the themes we want to talk about in 2021, this idea of fires, social revolution, political shenanigans. I mean, it's just one thing after another. This theme kept coming up of how we're having to be resilient in our lives in many different ways. Whether you have kids in school or you're a kid in school or you have mobility, whatever it is. And the more we talked about it, the deeper it got, until we said, you know what? Let's just make resilience the overarching theme for all Fishtrap programs this year. Whether it's Winter Fishtrap, our writing workshops, the big read, Summer Fishtrap. So I just want to share a couple things with you. But first, before we get any further, I gotta tell you about Fishtrap Fireside, which is coming up on Friday. Yeah. So January's Fishtrap Fireside is this Friday on the 8th. And this month's readers are our very own Kate Forrester. Hi, Kate. John Gatterud. I don't know if any of you know him, but he recently moved to Wallowa, a retired art professor and writer. Good writer too. And Catherine Kemp, who is a Wallowa County native, Moved away. I lived in New York City for years and recently moved back. She's works for Valley Center for Wellness and is a spoken word poet. So that'll be exciting to see. And then I want to tell you a little bit about our workshops that are coming up that are based on resilience. In February, Kim Stafford is doing an online workshop, Resilience Poems, Reading and Writing, a virtual workshop. And then we all know Kim as a Fishtrap founder and a longtime teacher at Fishtrap. And then Justin Hawking, who taught at Summer Fishtrap about 5 years ago. We love the guy. He's going to do cultivating resilience when writing about trauma. As Susan Badger Jones just said, we all kind of need to rest right now. And maybe this would be a way to think about that. And then finally, Perrin Kearns is writing for resilience, finding and using joy as a source. And then finally, one of our new finds, Karen Oven, and I really like her as an instructor. She's already taught 2 online workshops. She lives in Colorado. The Land Beneath Your Feet, Writing with Nature, coming up in April. So if you're interested in any of that, I strongly encourage you to take a look. So, and then summer, I'm working backwards a little bit. So Summer Fishtrap Resilience. I'm pretty excited about this. We don't, as we know now, as we've been talking about, doing Zoom meetings and Zoom programs and online conferences, it isn't the same as all of us being together around a table. But as I think many of you have found out, it's been for some people, it's a more equitable experience. We found that some people sitting in a writing workshop don't feel comfortable sharing their work, maybe sitting next to strangers, but they can doing this. And some people can't get to Wallowa Lake because it's expensive, or they have accessibility issues. And so we're learning now, even when we go back to live events, we'll continue to have these online elements, because it's really been rewarding to have these online writing workshops, and people are participating. It used to be just whomever could drive to Enterprise for the night, but now we're having people from all over the country participate in these writing workshops. It's been we're exposing more and more people to Fishtrap's mission and Wallowa County and all these other organizations who are doing good work here. So let's get to the fun. Winter Fishtrap. Oh man. So when we talked about Winter Fishtrap resilience, Shannon and the staff and program committee, we were talking about how does resilience work in our lives? And we came up with like 4 major topics. And one is how resilience in ourselves, how are we dealing with this physically and emotionally and mentally, all of these things. And we thought, who could we partner with that? And the first thing that came to mind was the Wallowa Valley Center for Wellness. And they enthusiastically said, yeah, we'll lead a discussion on resilience in ourselves. And then second, we thought resilience in our cultures, how different cultures from all over the world or right here at home have been resilient to different challenges. And of course, the first thing that comes up here, especially when we're talking with Rich and the Homeland Project, is the story of the Nez Perce, how they're still here, how African Americans, women, other people of color, age, accessibility, how they've been resilient in their cultures and continue to thrive under different sorts of pressures. So the Josephy Center for Arts and Culture and the Wallowa Nez Perce Homeland Project are going to present a program on resilience. Rich, you came up with a really good title. Hold on for a second here. It is Resilience, American Indian Cultural Resilience and Yours. going to back up for a second and say for Winter Fishtrap, instead of one weekend in the winter, we're doing 4 Saturdays in a row of programming. Saturday, January 9th is with the Wallowa Valley Center for Wellness. There'll be 2 sessions. They're online sessions where it'll be interactive, as well as having what they activities like resources, writing prompts, ways to connect with each other and have conversations about these programs. So for instance, this Saturday, Resilience in Ourselves, people will log on at 9 a.m. and Lisa and Shantae will talk about resilience in ourselves and have interactive activities and resources. And then they'll take a lunch break and everyone will come back at 1 o'clock for the afternoon session. Now, if people can't make these sessions because people have stuff going on Saturdays, we are recording them all and people can go back and watch them later on. And then the next Saturday, January 16 is, as we said, American Indian Cultural Resilience in Yours. You should take a look at, there'll be 3 sessions that day: family, land and culture, food and the environment, land and culture. I'm not going to go into too much details because I hope you go and look at it yourselves. Then on Saturday, we thought about resilience in our natural world, how our world itself is constantly being resilient to change, whether it be human caused or just the natural way of the world. And so we thought, who would we partner with that? And the first thing that came to mind, of course, was the Nature Conservancy. So Jeff Fields and Justin Jones said, we'll put together a program in conjunction with Eastern Oregon Legacy Lands to talk about how, especially this area, has been resilient to climate change or human impacted things such as mining or logging, et cetera. So they'll have a couple sessions too. And then finally, on January 30th, we partnered with Eastern Oregon University to talk about resilience in our literary and local communities. They have pulled together an incredible crew of people to talk about that, from not only regionally and in the country, but internationally. So that should be great. And I just want to show you who just a few of the partners are in this. It's pretty impressive. It makes me feel good to work at Fishtrap, to take a look at all these people who decided that they wanted to be a part of this. Like I said, it's people from all regionally and internationally. It's just a handsome group of people, especially that fella right there. And then what's even more impressive about this is when we started talking about Winter Fishtrap, all these other local organizations decided, well, we'll sponsor. We want to just be a part of this. So you can just take a look at all of the groups who decided that they wanted to help support it. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And I think what'll come out of this is a bunch of new conversations, and hopefully my goal for Winter Fishtrap each year is to hopefully spark a new understanding on a theme that is important to us all. So that's what Winter Fishtrap is. And we're just making it up as we go along. We've never done this before. And working really hard to make it an enriching and fulfilling experience for people, even though it is not in person. I think we've already had registrations from all over the place. So I think if you can talk about this with your friends and neighbors, the more people and perspectives and backgrounds we have, the better. One last thing, registration for Winter Fishtrap gives people access to all of the events. So my hope is that if somebody's really interested in resilience in ourselves, I'm keeping my marbles in my head during this time, that they'll also say, wow, I never thought I'd participate in resilience in the natural world. I'll check that out too. So hopefully we'll be cross-pollinating different communities and interests to also give their perspectives on it. So that's what we've been working on. And I hope folks join in on the conversation, and that we get some really dynamic stuff happening, and maybe help each other during this time. So that's Winter Fish Trap. Does anybody have any questions? I could talk about the history of Winter Fish Trap. Rich can do that even more than I, but as well as Susan Badger Jones and Janice and other people who are here on the call. But do you have any questions about how people access it, why we picked it, how we partnered with all these organizations? What does it take to pull off something like this? What would be of value? Maybe the most important, what would be of value to you in putting on a conference like this, especially when it's online?
So Mike, just to start with just a logistic question, you're not limiting any sessions then number wise, right?
True.
Okay. So people, you can handle multitudes.
I believe our fearless leader, Shannon McNerney, has made that true. That if people, if they register, so we're doing this through a conferencing program. It's called Hoover. That doesn't matter, but it's a place where you will go get access to. Shannon says up to 500 people. I hope we break it. So people will get an access code to this. Essentially, it's a room on the internet where you can access video, you can access reading resources, links, writing prompts, and connect with people. We did it like this for Summer Fish Trap, and it worked really well. It took some time to ramp people up, myself included. But as soon as we got into this room, this Summer Fish Trap room, it all of a sudden became very intuitive. And it's the same thing with Winter Fish Trap. So when folks register, they'll get an access code to this place on the internet. And you get to like make your own little profile, use your own profile picture. You can talk to different people and share ideas and resources. But mainly people will go there at those scheduled times to participate in the live events, the live presentations, or if they miss it, to go and access it later on to watch the recording.
But in the live sessions, I know in the sessions that Angela and you and I talked about, we're talking about at least an interactive part of that.
Yep.
So in the live session, there's something akin to the chat box here where people can put questions in, and then we could actually open it up to verbal questions too. Is that possible?
Yep, we could even set up breakout rooms where if we had 75 people or 50 people and you wanted to break it up into, 5 or 10 groups to talk about a discussion point for a period of time, and then everybody agree in 10 minutes we'll all come back. Just like you would at a live conference.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And we used Holly Hughes recently taught a poetry workshop, Turning to Poetry in Hard Times, through Fishtrap, and they used breakout rooms to break into groups of 2 or 3 or 4 people to discuss a topic or discuss a poem, and then they all came back together, and they said it worked great. So I don't know if anybody else out there in the working world has been doing breakout rooms during conferences, but it seems to work out. Yes, Susan.
Yeah, I've been doing breakout rooms recently, and it's it's so valuable. I mean, it feels almost real. I think we're desperate to have that group interaction, small group interaction. We don't, we attend things like this, but we don't have those little side conversations and comments at lunch, and the breakout sessions really sort of fill that need, I think.
That's great. Yeah.
Great that you can do that.
Right. Yes.
So I'm a person who's going to need to listen to the recording of some of these.
Mm-hmm.
So will there be instructions on how to do that once I sign up?
Well, it takes a little while to process it. So Zoom, like right now, Cheryl is recording this Zoom session, and it takes a while for it to download and then be able to access it. So there will be instructions. It won't, like, let's say if the session ends at noon, it's not going to be available immediately. It'll take a while for us to process it. And we're working on that right now, since it's our first time through, but everyone will be able to access so if the session is taking place on Saturday, which they are, and you can't get to it till Tuesday, you can just log into this using your login and be able to just explore the resources. I'm encouraging people who we're going to send an email out in the next day or two to all the people who've registered already, encourage them to go into this room and explore it for a while, so they're kind of familiar with where all the doors and windows and doorknobs are before the conference starts. But we'll also be all hands on deck, Fishtrap staff, on Saturday morning for people who are having a tough time navigating and try to get them into it. That was key with Summer Fishtrap, where we were working with people who, of ages 9 to 88, I think. And everybody has a different device. Everybody has a different internet connectivity. Everybody has a different computer familiarity or comfortability, being comfortable with it. So it took a lot of work in the front end. So, but I think we came through it with some confidence and really optimism for these sorts of experiences. Susan Patrick Jones is a great example of someone we did a little training in advance, and you just had a great time at Summer Fishtrap.
Yeah, we're
So
great.
relative to Zoom, is it harder or easier or the same?
It is more interactive. I think Zoom is we're meeting like this and you can chat and react, but the Whova platform is, it's more like being in a library or something. You use Zoom, but then there are also places like where you'll see links or it's pretty easy. And we're going to try to do we'll send some training materials for people who just want to either watch something passively or interact with a training. I would just say it's a different kind of thing. It's kind of like the difference between watching television, which would be Zoom, and doing searches on the internet. It's just more
Okay,
interactive.
thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? I'm going to share our, so January is Winter Fishtrap. February, we have writing workshops, but it's also the Big Read. And I am so excited because in the past, every year I've done the Big Read, it's just been a really hard logistic challenge to get guests, to get keynotes, and to get Big Read finale speak, and just to get speakers to come here because it's in the middle of winter, right? And so many times people couldn't get over the mountain or wanted a ride from Lewiston or and it was just a challenge. And this year, all of a sudden, all of that came off of our shoulders. Shannon and I just kind of went, we can invite anybody we want to be a part of the Big Read this year, and from anywhere. So I just want to share one last thing here, and then we'll let's see here. So this year's Big Read is In the Heart of the Sea by Nathaniel Philbrook, and it's the true story. It's the first nonfiction book we've done for the Big Read, and it's this true story of the whale ship Essex as it was rammed by a whale in 1819 or 1820. And it was the story that inspired Melville 40 or 30 years later to write Moby Dick. But where Moby Dick ends is where this book starts. It's the survival story of the crew members and their resilience. And we don't have this stuff up on the site yet, but what we got is we have the author of the book, Nathaniel Philbrick, is going to give the finale, and we couldn't afford him. So we partnered, and this is another brand new world. We partnered with another community who's doing this book with the big read this year. It's the Middletown Public Library in New Jersey. So we partnered to come up with this guy's speaking fee between two literary organizations on opposite sides of the country. And so we're going to co-host the keynote, the finale at the end of March. And then I also went like, gosh, you know, the Hatfield Marine Science Center, and I reached out to them and to give the kickoff. You know, wouldn't it be cool for kids and families in the Wallowa County community and Union County to learn about whales? And so I reached out to the Hatfield Marine Science Center, and Dr. Lisa T. Balance directs the Mammal Marine Science Center there. She's one of the world's experts on marine mammals. And she said, yeah, I've never heard of Fishtrap. So I told her a little bit about it. She said, I would love to do a presentation on whales. And she's just wonderful. We'll have more information on the site in the next couple of weeks. And then I reached out to the Columbia River Museum, Columbia River Maritime Museum. And it turns out they have this great educational program for kids and families, and they are going to give a series of 4 talks. They call them Ed Talks on sailor superstitions, whaling in Oregon, how to make hardtack, all of these things that we can show, that we can have on the website for teachers and educators and families to access either live when it happens or anytime they want. So I'm excited about that. And finally, we purchased the rights to stream for free the Hollywood film of In the Heart of the Sea, directed by Ron Howard about 7 or 8 years ago. So people will have a 48-hour window when anybody anywhere can access, can watch the movie for free. So that's what's going on. That's what's going on with the Big Read, Winter Fishtrap, writing workshops, and Summer Fishtrap, and the things we're thinking about. I hope you. I miss being at the Josephy Center for Winter Fishtrap because it's such a beautiful venue, and you guys are always so accommodating and great, and to see so many of you who participated in Winter Fishtrap. You know, Jeff was a big part of Winter Fishtrap last year, and I'm gonna miss seeing, working and interacting with you all, but I'm pretty excited about bringing this group of people together. So I encourage you to take a look at the website, fishtrap.org, and check out Winter Fishtrap.
So while we're on it, and since you mentioned it, Mike, the whole idea of having a theme,
yeah,
or Fishtrap, that we can blame on Alvin Josephy. And yeah, because I'd never been to a writing conference. I didn't know a damn thing about a writing conference. And when we decided to have one, I was talking to Alvin, and we can also blame on the Levi Strauss did a series of conferences at Sun Valley in the 70s, in the late 70s. And they brought artists and filmmakers and writers all together there. So they had, one year they did something called Imagining a New West or something like that. So anyway, when I started talking to Alvin about this, and, as we were lining up people, I don't know whether I asked him what we should talk about or he said, but he said, the problem is that I keep getting asked all the time to review the wrong books about the West for the New York Times or whatever, because the people back here don't know a damn thing about the West. So I think what we ought to do is figure out a way to get some of these Eastern publishers out there and magazines and whatnot out there and let them meet some Western writers. So the first year was Western writers, Eastern publishers. And he brought the New Yorker magazine and Houghton Mifflin and a big time writing agent out with him the first year. So we stumbled into that. and it made us immediately different from all the other writer conferences that were going on. And then the next thing that happened was year 2 or 3, the publisher who came out was a good old Mark Josephy. And Mark, well, look at that. And she was there. You got on late, but she was there. Remember when Mark Josephy did the finale of an early Fishtrap, and he said, Fishtrap isn't a writers conference. It's a revival meeting for writers. And so we don't have to concentrate on all the nuts and bolts. We just get energized here. So I'd say that Alvin and Mark really set the tone for that, picking a theme or an idea. And then, like you say, Mike, as writers have something like that to grab onto, it energizes them, I think. And it still does.
Yeah, I encourage you to look at the Summer Fishtrap lineup of instructors and read those workshop descriptions. And this year we're going to have for the first time a children's book writing workshop, which I'm really looking forward to. I just want to hear, this is just for fun. I'm going to share with you. I mean, this is too much to take in, but this is the full list of Summer Fishtrap themes from '88 and all the people: sense of place, patterns, writing and history, language, politics and place, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And what a legacy. It's so much fun.
Hey, Mike, do you have this timeline posted on the website? Because this is really intriguing, and I know a lot of people would be blown away to look at this all in one place. Is that something that they can access on the site?
Not at this time, but I'd be happy to send it to you. But I really like it too. I feel a sense of pride working for Fishtrap when I look at the list.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Really cool.
Well, speaking of pride, I just, I'm looking at you and Janice and Shannon and others from your board who might be on with us today. And you talk about your theme, resilience, and just listening to you describe everything that you have going on in 2021. And, it was less than 10 months ago. There were some conversations about whether or not Fishtrap, Josephy Center, we didn't know if any of us were really going to be around a year, fast forward in a year, and talk about the manifestation of resilience. I am so impressed with that small group of people over there, what you have done. So kudos to you. This is exciting and humbling, very humbling.
That means a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think one of the advantages, Jeff, of us being in this small, in many ways, tight community, although we've got people out there that have different, different political and religious and whatever kinds of views, but we all use the same post office and we tolerate each other and get along, and it helps that we can kind of bounce off of each other. And as Mike has done here, leaning on other nonprofits in the community to help put together a program. And you're right, Mike, the whole Zoom thing and virtual thing we found at the Josephy Center, we've gotten a hell of a lot better at putting up a virtual exhibit now. The first one we did was pretty shabby, but you learn the tricks. And take advantage of it. Now, on the other hand, we're all waiting for the day when we can get in your big tent up at the lake again and experience that too.
Well, we fully expect. No, I shouldn't say fully. We're cautiously optimistic that we'll be able to have a live Summer Fishtrap in July. I sure hope we can, but we're not going to put people's health or our health at risk to do it. So we're working on it. We'll see how fast the magic serum gets to Wallowa County.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
the well, Jeff, you should do a little. I think in a certain sense that the John Marshall exhibit here is going to tie into the resilience theme too. The resilience of landscapes and comparing what the forests looked like in 1930 to what they look like now and what they might become. It's all about that resilience of the natural world and our kind of coaxing along the resilience, I guess. You want to say anything more about that, Jeff?
Well, you said it pretty poetically, Rich. I don't know if I can add more to it, but I think what's exciting about this exhibit is, for those of you who don't know, John Marshall is he's a biologist, lives up in Wenatchee, Washington, and he's also a self-taught professional photographer. And back in the 1930s, a member of the U.S. Forest Service named Osborne designed and developed this panorama camera that I think they had made 6 of them, and I think there's 2 or 3 still in existence today. But his charge was to basically photograph in panorama view all of the fire lookouts across the Pacific Northwest in Washington and Oregon. And so those were archived, and a lot of that just kind of fell into the back burner and back into the cobwebs of people's minds, and was kind of forgotten for many, many years. Well, John Marshall got the idea here several years ago to go out and basically replicate all of those photographs. He was herking ladders actually out to the sites because some of those fire lookouts no longer exist. So he was trying to get the elevations right. And the stories he tells about how he got out there before he was able to start using drone photography was pretty impressive. But he has reconstructed a lot of these photographs and started out to be kind of a labor of love scientific project to look to see how the forests, the structure, the stand structure, the species composition, the health of the forest has changed through the years as a result of our suppressing wildfire. And but what we also found was this scientific project has become a really beautiful artistic project as well. And his tagline is, he says that his science informs his art, and his art informs his science. And I think this exhibit is a perfect example of that. So he did the exhibit at the Sheehan Gallery down in Walla Walla on the campus of Whitman College last winter. Unfortunately, they had to truncate that because COVID shut everything down. So all of his panels are now sitting in storage at our office at Wallowa Resources, and the next opportunity to have the public see it will be at the Josephy Center starting in April of this year. So we're going to have a few really interesting people as guests, again, probably coming in, patching in through Zoom, because it might still be a little too early for us all to gather at one space again. But anyway, we'll make sure that all of the information on it gets posted up on the website. But it's a very compelling exhibit. It's kind of sobering and eye-opening, but it's also extremely beautiful at the same time. So encourage us all to take advantage of that if you can. We'll keep you posted.
This one also goes back to a fish trap, a winter fish trap we did. God, what year was it, Mike? We figured it out, 2002 or something. It was a long time ago. On fire, you remember, Janie? And Stephen J. Pine was then and is still the guru of fire in America. In fact, he wrote the book, Fire in America. He's a MacArthur fellow, brilliant guy. And he is going to join us via Zoom at some time during that month. We have to figure out, Jeff, exactly how to use them. But
but
1996.
1996.
Oh.
So we were talking about fire here, and that was a hell of a meeting. Some of those, we had BLM guys and Forest Service guys from all over come up to Wallowa Lake, and a bunch of them came into that room up there at Eagle Cap and said, "Boy, I sure wouldn't come to this place in the summer. This is a damn fire trap up here." But anyway, kind of a nice tie-in, and we'll get Stephen J. Pine back here. That'll be cool.
And for what it's worth, I've been doing a little work with Community Solutions Incorporated over at Wallowa Resources. And so, of course, they've been working with renewable energy for some time, and they're moving towards, they have some partial funding to do sort of a comprehensive county energy plan. So which would come under the banner of energy resilience. So, you know, how do we have electricity if we're in a fire situation and PAC shuts off the power? How do we keep those energy dollars local? So, you know, we have a pretty good scope of work. So if there's a possibility to plug that in anywhere, or to just, you know, be aware that that's coming down the pike, besides solar and micro hydro and bio, you know, CSI is now involved in expanding the electric vehicle charging stations, and then also the energy planning. So for what that's worth.
Hey, Rich, I think you're on mute. In fact, I know you're on mute.
I am, but I wasn't trying to talk.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw your lips moving.
Okay, am I okay now? Can you
Janie,
hear?
Janie's wants to talk. Let
There
her-
we go.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can.
Okay, okay. I was just gonna say, well, our county's all about resilience because we have hard winters. And, you know, I just took a drive and I looked right through the rider's eyes. The dramatic transformation when spring comes, and the people that don't go south, that stay here all winter, they know about resilience in the natural, in our valley. Yeah. You know, the wildflowers bloom in the zoo mall, and the snow goes away, the cows have calves. That's resilience. And
There you
and
go.
those of us that don't die of COVID are still here. So. Don't we, Rich? We think that every spring it's magic.
It is. It is. And yeah. And
Well, I
we
think-
go ahead, Susan.
I think there's also something magic about, I mean, I remember when I lived in Joseph, and I mean, I experienced it vicariously being there from LeGrand, but it was, you know, some day in October when you walked downtown, you could look up the street and look down the street, and there was no traffic. And it
Yeah.
was like, town's ours again.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, when you have that feeling, I mean, that's part of the resilience of, okay, I got the snow tires, I got my yak tracks, I got my, you know, wood fucked up, and, you know,
The hay's in the shed and the snow shovels are out, and yeah, it's just a ritual of resilience because winters are hard here. I mean, metaphorically speaking, because lots of things happen in the winter. We have, you know, winter kill of our old people.
Yeah.
In great amounts. Yeah.
Yep.
There's
It's such
also
a rich,
this winter culture, you know, man, there's a potluck, you know, every Saturday or Sunday, and, you know, people come out of the woodwork to play music, and, you know, there's a vitality to, it may be cold outside, but it's warm inside. So
I can't wait for us to return to that soon, I hope.
I miss it. I miss
So, so here's a potential theme for you, Mike. Actually, we did it for a winter fish trap years ago, but I forget what we called it then. It was over tourism is what it was, and the impact that the state tourism office had on Wallowa County by making us one of the 7 wonders of Oregon. And those empty streets that you talked about, Susan, are not so empty in October anymore. And that's a mixed blessing. I'm reminded that we had, I remember that when we did that thing, we had one of the city commissioner or the county commissioners from Sun Valley here. And
Oh, what was the theme on that?
pardon?
I'm trying to think of the theme on that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was on recreation, but it was
old money in the New West.
old money in the New West.
There,
Was that?
that was it. Something like that. Yeah.
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 Because one of the Sun Valley speakers stayed at our house in LeGrand, not going or coming.
Oh,
Oh, and they showed that documentary of that, that village they built, and
Yeah.
then years later it was vacant, this multi-billion-dollar.
well, and John Peavy was here, John and Diane,
Oh, yeah.
and then Josephy Peavy. And I remember John standing up and he said, you haven't seen things yet in Wallowa County. You have the merely rich here. You don't have the real rich. The real rich are the guys that built 40,000 square foot houses and changed the course of rivers. That's the real rich. You just have the merely rich.
We have 2 houses, though, $1 million babies out there on Prairie Creek on the ranch.
Yeah.
But they don't look very lively, do they?
Yeah, Rember, how many of you, John Rember, another early fish trapper, and he's got a book out now that's wonderful, University of New Mexico Press, 100 little essays on the end of the world.
Oh, that would be John, yeah.
That would be
The
John.
soup's boiling over. I gotta go get it.
And he has a blog on the pandemic every Monday. If anybody's interested, I'll give you the links. But John used to, he grew up, his dad was a trapper in Stanley, Idaho, and a fishing guide. And he went to College of Idaho, and then for some reason he got some kind of scholarship his sophomore year and went and finished up at Harvard, and then came back and tended bar in Sun Valley and got an MFA and ended up teaching at College of Idaho. But before he got his teaching gig, he wrote a lot for Travel and Leisure magazine, and he went to the beaches of Thailand, and he went and bungee jumped in Australia and did all that stuff. And along the way somewhere he read that, he said it wasn't original with him, but tourism is a contagious disease and it's gobbling up the world. Anyway.
Well, hey, Rich, I was just thinking as you look ahead at 2021 with the brown bag themes, there might be a lot of ways to kind of crosswalk that with the resilience theme of Fishtrap. Just another avenue for people to have the opportunity to keep considering this. And I know that you're always looking for new thoughts and ideas and suggestions for the brown bags, and that might be a place to look.
That's a good one. Cheryl and I have talked about having Woody Wolf talk about the new ag and the people doing the what do you call it? The cropping, where they plant the turnips and the radishes and stuff in the fall, and
Yeah.
they cut down on their fertilizer because they got the animals out there rooting around, digging them up. And
Well,
what do you call that, Janie?
Well, there's crop rotation and there's fall feed and roughage. I just went by the field down there and those cows are chomping on turnips in the mud. But yeah, that's good. Good for the soil and
Yeah. So that's
roughage for the cattle.
we've got those. And talk about resilience. We had a long time where we didn't have these young ranchers and farmers, but now we've got them. Joe Dawson and Woody Wolf and these guys are coming back, and some of the Nash family, and they're doing some interesting things out there. So you're right, Jeff. We'll have to do some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of Woody's irrigation, pressurized irrigation, was solar powered. So, yeah.
Solar powered electric fences. I mean, it's amazing. What they're using.
Yeah. Hydro component.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
I think he does everything just with his phone, like all the irrigation is plugged into his phone, so he can just schedule the watering. And so it's amazing how technology and agriculture have kind of really upped the game, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see a robot feeding the cattle every morning though.
Oh, that'll be next. Don't worry.
Drones carrying bales.
Drones carrying bales.
Did you see the drones at the Polar Plunge taking pictures?
Yeah, there were. I didn't see any of their pictures, but I did see one. Some
didn't see a
drone
picture.
photographer was up there. Yeah.
There was 2 of them. Yeah.
Were there?
People turned out for the plunge.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, we had
Had to do it in shifts, didn't you?
we did shifts, and I kind of undertook to suggest that through the newspaper and the chamber, and people did it, but we still had about 30 at 10 o'clock, but then we had about 10 to 12 each at 10:15, 10:30, and 10:45. The only mistake was that we didn't need 15 minutes in between shifts. We only needed 5, because people were out of there in a hurry.
Yeah, well, the water was warmer than the air, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know that that's the case. I mean, there
Well,
wasn't a
I
hell of a lot
timed
of
the
difference.
screams didn't come until after they got out.
Yeah.
It was
No, it
lucky.
was a good day. It was a good day. A good event. And
Another resilience and learning to cope with winter or something.
well, do we have anything more for Mr. Midlo? Oh, just registration. Mike, just go to the website.
Yep, go to fishtrap.org and then you register and get a confirmation in the next couple days. We'll send everybody detailed instructions on how to access everything.
And just
And
privately-
also people
ahead.
can register anytime if they're only interested in the event on the 23rd or on the 30th, they can register. We're not closing registration at this Saturday. It's going to be open all month.
Okay. And then
So-
we have to get you the names and the email addresses of the presenters we're bringing along so you can get them
Yep.
the information, right?
Yes, please.
Yep. So Bobby Connor's coming, Janie.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And Angel Sabota. I don't know if any of you remember, Angel toured the world with an Indian dance troupe, and she's now the language specialist at Lapway. And she was here one time. I think she came to a summer fish trap. I think,
Great.
yeah.
Good.
Anyway,
Well, I want to thank you all for hanging out with me for an hour. It's good to visit with you all.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah,
Thanks,
lovely
Mike.
to see you all.
Yeah. Happy
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, Rich, would you send me Rember's blog site?
I'll do it.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Anybody else want Rember's blog?
Sure. I
Okay.
will. Thanks, Rich.
Okay, yeah.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.